Hello, everyone. It's the Jarek Brian Show. My name is Jarek, and on today's show, guys, we got a very special guest. We went all the way to Vechain, and we got the War Dogs on the show. And if I'm not mistaken, it's Braden, correct? From War Dogs.
Braden from War Dogs. Thanks for having me. Yes, sir. Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir, I can. And how are you today?
Doing very well. How about yourself?
Pretty good, man. I'd love to have some Vechain friends on the show, and I'd love to talk about y'all's project and everything. But before we get into all that, can you tell us a little story about you, man? Like, how did you get all the way here to Web3? And yeah, man, how has it been so far on Vechain?
For sure, dude. Well, thanks for having me. Really, really appreciate your time. And this is a cool layout. I mean, it does look like it's live right now, like you said.
Yeah, but people freak out. Yeah,
for sure, dude. So I was in the Marine Corps in 2010 to 2014. Did a couple of deployments, and then I became a filmmaker, and that's where I met Gerg, the co-founder of War Dogs. And we were 2 out of 3 of the co-founders of something called VETTV. If you Google VETTV, you'll see a bunch of stuff pop up.
Hilarious.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
And but from the people who watch it, it's really well received. And then from people who don't, it's kind of the opposite, right? It's a very controversial situation that we made there. But fast forward to 2020, 2021, when we started thinking about getting into NFTs, myself and Gerg, the co-founder, where I met him at VETTV, we wanted to be able to kind of recreate some of that success that we had with VETTV. And NFTs, we were just getting into NFTs. Vechain was actually the first blockchain that I bought NFTs on, even before ETH. And the first NFT I bought was actually World of E Genesis card. World of E is one of the marketplaces on Vechain. And so, we had just gotten into the community, and we were in the Discords and stuff like that. And we were thinking to ourselves, NFTs would be an excellent way to not only make films, but do something bigger. And we've started coining that and calling that Film 3, right? I can talk about that a little bit in some of our aspirations and long-term goals. But, at first it started out as like, hey, NFTs look like a great way to fund films. And, as a filmmaker, you're always looking for ways to make movies and make TV shows. And so, we always had that in the back of our mind, but we did know, because it's such a new thing, at least back then it was. It's still new, but even back when we started, it was so fresh that we knew we had to create a community, sort of thing. And that's one thing that we learned at VETTV is, you have to foster a community before you start making big moves, sort of thing. And so why Vechain? Well, we love the community, right? And so we were part of a couple different projects at this point. We thought about going to ETH from the jump, but we just made that command decision because we really wanted to, we really liked the Vechain community. We thought it was solid. And we also at the same time sort of wanted to, be big fish in a small pond. And then and we knew even before we minted that we were going to expand, blockchain or cross chains in the future. We knew that before we minted War Dogs. So that's kind of how we ended up here. And, we, with the more medium term goal of making a TV show, after we did the first couple of collections, and that's where we're at right now, man. Like smack dab in the middle of transitioning, not the right word, expanding to ETH, expanding our brand, and the VETPET's coming up, and so we're there right now.
Yeah, and as far as your time on Vechain, right? You guys had this collection on Vechain, so you can kind of go more in depth on that collection on Vechain, and then we'll definitely branch off into the east side too as well, because I love collections that go cross chain, man. I think cross chain is the future, but we'll dive kind of into that later, man. But just to let everybody know about the War Dogs on Vechain, man.
Yeah, for sure, dude. So War Dogs on Vechain, we minted, I think it was in late July of last year. And, the collection size is 4,444. It sort of has evolved, which I think that any project that, is over a year old has to have evolved.
Yeah.
But it started out with us saying like, hey, what haven't we seen on the blockchain? And so we did, we looked around at different NFT projects and stuff, and we wanted to be the first service animals. Right. So, service animals are important to us. Like I served with a dog in Afghanistan. His name was Dunn. He means a lot to me. And, And so it sort of started out like that, but we ended up, evolving from there, and now it's it's sort of weird. We've come full circle with the Vet TV thing being super degen like and super R rated. And that's, at first we didn't know how to sort of show ourselves to people and, behave with people and stuff like that. But we certainly have embraced who we are. And so now War Dogs is a super duper degen-y, foul mouth situation. Like if you jump in the War Dogs Discord right now, it's definitely R rated and it's definitely for adults. And we definitely have that crude humor going on. But circling back, War Dogs 4,444, we minted out pretty fast. I think it was like a 12-hour thing. We had cool stuff like staking and other things. And the second collection, came out, I think 6 months later, and that's called Portal Dogs. And the cool thing about Portal Dogs, if you like NFTs and NFT mechanics and stuff, is that what we really did is we didn't mint the Portal Dogs. What we did is we minted something called Portal Passes, and that was a finite amount. And so, I think it was 6,000 of these Portal Passes. And what Dogs had to do then is they had to burn these Portal Passes through a cool mechanic on the marketplace. And, let's say a rare dog required 5, 4, 3, all the way down to common dogs was only 1. And so what you do is you take your original War Dog, you put it with a Portal Pass, and then it comes out the portal and it creates you a brand new NFT. So you keep the old one and then you get the new one. And what's cool is it's deflationary, meaning that eventually these Portal Passes are going to run out, sort of thing. And so we thought that was a cool mechanic. It worked out great. We minted out the Portal Passes, and I think it was like a minute, so it was like super duper fast. And Dogs started burning those. And so right now, Portal Dogs, I think, are sitting at like 1,200 ish, which we like. We like the low supply. And so that's it. I mean, so we have, it's technically 3 collections when you go on the marketplace. It's War Dogs, Portal Dogs, and then Portal Passes. Now we're looking to expand to ETH, and the way we're doing that, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, is through this burn mechanic. So we're actually burning VeChain Dogs as we.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's definitely kind of interesting, right? But each one of these, 3 collections. So which one's the one that's going to be burned again? To go actually, to ETH?
All 3. So So what you do is, how I mentioned to you, what you do is you burn. You don't burn. You use a Portal Pass on an OG War Dog.
Yeah.
On the marketplace, it actually shows you which ones have been used. So the floor price of ones that have not been portalized, have not gone through the portalizer, those are higher because that's worth an NFT to somebody, right? The ones who have already gone through, the floor price is lower. And so when we're getting a VETPET, you burn one of those ones that have already been portalized, and then you use a portal, and then another Portal Dog, and then a Portal Pass. So you're burning 3 tokens for 1 ETH token.
Oh, okay. No, that's cool. And the collection on kind of ETH, right? How is that going to kind of fit into the whole ecosystem, right? And then once they've gone on ETH, right, what are some of the perks they could also get from having an ETH War Dog?
For sure.
Or a VETPET?
Yeah, so that's a good question. By the way, just like random tangent, our original name was going to be VETPETs. That's why we're calling them VETPETs now. And we changed it to War Dogs because there was a VeChain project that was called VETPETs already, just randomly. And they ended up rugging, so we don't care.
There you go. You take it from them.
Yeah. But, VETPETs is a good name. We're coming from VeChain. But that's a good question, and, I'll try and answer it as concisely as I can. So, as far as we consider ourselves a business, right? And when it comes to VETPETs, we have, 3 main goals. And the first main goal is to take care of our dogs, take care of the holders who, have been taking care of us this whole time. We have a super loyal following, and these guys are with us through thick and thin. When the floor price drops, when sentiment isn't going so well, when VeChain token price lowers, all that stuff, the dogs are here. And so we think it's very important to take care of them. And so, the first thing that we want to give them is as close to free as possible, in a high quality ETH, token, right? And yeah, it's not free. They have to burn some dogs, but it's as close to free as you can get, right? You're burning a couple of $20 tokens on VeChain. So that's the first thing you get is, you get a free ETH NFT. The second thing you get, and this is, a little complex because we're talking about the future here, is that every VETPET counts as a free mint for our big project that we're going to release next year on ETH called Degens. And Degens is, we don't have a timeline for it, but Degens is actually tied to a TV show of the same name that we're going to make. And, it's going to be, we're shooting, it's our moonshot, right? We're trying to be like a huge top 10 ETH project. Our goal is literally to be top 10 ETH project with Degens. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to make a super high quality show like you've seen with Vet TV called Degens, but it's about NFT culture. It's about, three guys and one girl they essentially do the stuff that we're doing, right? They're trying to circumvent Web3, or they're trying to, deal with Web3, right? Whether it's they're making an NFT collection, there's going to be a shitcoin episode. They're going to go to NFT New York and stuff like that, right? And the show's no joke. I mean, it's going to be like a $200,000 show. So super high quality. And we're hoping that, that with like sneak previews and stuff like that really helps build a lot of hype for Degens. And then what's cool about the Degens show is that it airs before the Degens, launch NFT project. And so, we're hoping that causes a lot of hype. Anyways, back to VETPETs. Each VETPET counts as a free mint for Degens. So that's our main utility right there. And, again, because it's so far out, we're trying to time it with sentiment and stuff like that. That's why we don't have a date for Degens. We're not sure if VETPETs is going to pump or not, right? It's super competitive on ETH and we're still kind of in the bull,
sure,
right? In the bear, but, we're hoping that there's a retroactive pump, right? So once Degens gets going and we're really marketing that and we're spending, the marketing dollars and all of that behind Degens, we're hoping that ETH people are like, hey, how do I get one of these for free? Oh, I got to go get one of these VETPETs. And then in turn, once they get the VETPETs, they're like, where are these cool dogs? Where are they coming from? Oh, they're coming from VeChain. And so my third point is that, we're not leaving VeChain, right? VeChain is our home. It's our home base for our OGs and for our portal dogs. We have plans with the foundation to, make content for them. We're always going to nurture the VeChain community, but something that's very important to us is we do gain success on ETH and we bring people back to VeChain.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with the cross-chain kind of sentiment, man. I think cross-chain is the kind of way to go, man. I want to be able to hang out with my friends over here on VeChain, also on Cardano. I want to go hang out with people on Solana. We can all kind of learn from each other and kind of like, build, cool stuff, man. I don't think we all have to be just on one chain, man. And so I will definitely ask you this, man, as somebody that's actually going to branch out to other chains, do you think that projects in general, right, NFT projects in general for the future are going to have to be cross-chain for them to be kind of successful? What's kind of your take on that? Or kind of like they don't have to be cross-chain? What's your kind of like opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly take up the cross-chain as the future as my opinion. And, I think that interoperability and all of that is the key. And, especially for chains like VeChain and some of the smaller ones, like your Algos, your VeChain, it certainly is going to be that's the future for sure.
Yeah, and as you talk about VeChain, right? Can you? Not a lot of people know about VeChain. This was my fault in general too. That VeChain actually has some pretty cool stuff, some pretty cool founders right now. Talking with Airworthy and those guys over there, like, can you kind of talk about like how one supportive VeChain, the actual foundation, has been, and the actual community itself?
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's funny because not many people know that VeChain has NFTs, and we actually it's kind of a running joke. People don't do it so much anymore, but we, just to get the name out there, we would always hashtag our Twitters with VeChain has NFTs, and I don't know. I always thought that was funny. But Yeah, VeChain has NFTs, and it has some really badass, really phenomenal projects. You know, you have Yukio Warriors. It's a powerhouse project. You have Mad V Apes. I'm sure you've heard that name before.
Correct.
They are an amazing team. I have absolutely no doubt that they will dominate. They're going to be a household name one day, and they're going to be at the top of when you hear about NFT projects, you're going to think about Mad V Apes for sure. Unbelievable project. And you have other projects too, and the foundation has been so supportive of the community, especially recently. Within the last 6 months, they've been really, really stepping it up. And I mentioned that the dogs have plans to do stuff with the foundation. I can't get into specifics with that, but for example, NFT LV happened, 2 months ago, less than 2 months ago. The foundation sent 15 teams to NFT LV, paid for our flights, paid for our hotel, and then paid for the tickets for us to sit there at the booths, right? All in all, I think it was about $15,000. It actually came from Sunny Lou's personal amount. So like Sunny Lou, the CEO, paid for it out of his pocket. Situation. And it was an amazing time, and we had so much exposure to all the ADA projects there. I still talk to them every day. It was an amazing opportunity, and we crushed it. We showed out and we crushed it. But that was only doable because of the foundation. It's things like that. Once a month, the foundation gets on a space with us, and they'll answer hard questions, about tokenomics and stuff. Everything from they're kind of in the hot seat and they're answering these questions, and they're forward facing about all of it, all the way to degen stuff, but that's a once a month leader space. And so they're definitely all about nurturing the community, and they definitely see that, there's the investor side, because VeChain's a very investor heavy token. Yeah. There's only about, I think, 4,000 active NFT wallets. So it's very, very small, but there's like 2 million, and probably more now from the Coinbase listing, but there's like over 2 million wallets that hold VeChain. And most VeChain people are, investors in it, right? And but VeChain Foundation, they recognize that that there's a symbiotic relationship here.
Yeah, and that was kind of. I also saw you on Wild Cards. Was it? Man,
that was wild.
Yeah, did you like that? Right, because you also in the Cardano went on the Wild Card show, and also too is your Discord kind of similar to Wild Cards?
I would say so. Yeah, it's I mean, it's definitely in the spirit. I wasn't expecting that. First of all, I didn't do my homework. But I like it. It reminds me of some of the big ETH spaces when you go on, and then they're all crazy. It's definitely well put together, and I really liked it. The degen nature of it, like the Dogs Discord for sure. And all, I mean, Dogs Discord is like super R-rated. We don't give an F, man. And that's just who we are, dude. Like, and back to what I was saying about Degens the Show. It's going to be R-rated, we're going to have some TNA and all that, and grown-up subjects, and that's just like, we have to embrace who we are, man. I'm a marine grunt. I'm a dirty degen. What can I say?
I will say this, and I do. If you kind of follow me on Twitter, I kind of play this character as like making fun of nerds in Web3. So I don't know if some of these nerds in Web3 even know how to be with the women. Or please, I'm kidding, God. They're gonna come after me for this.
No, dude, but you know what? That's like what you just said is a perfect example of something that we could recreate in the show. You know what I mean? And when we make this show, we want it to be uncomfortable for people in a good way, not like where they're uncomfortable, but like we have found the best way to get people to invest their viewing time is to be as truthful as we can. And you've probably seen that with VetTV, right? Correct. And so when we make the show, we want it to be like, I'll just say it, the premise is that the main characters are going to make an NFT project to get rich quick. That's it. I mean, that's the premise of the show. And so you can imagine that it's like, I love it. It's going to be funny, but there's also like a little bit of truth to it for everybody, right? So, yeah, we're excited, man. And, it's going to be dudes trying to get laid. That's like half of it. So,
Well, if there's anything like Web3, none of them are going to be successful. But I will say this still too as well. Like, you bring up Vet TV, right? I'm a fan of it, right? Because I'm a first responder, right? Never was in the military, but the humor is still kind of like the same. We kind of get the certain things. Can you kind of tell people about Vet TV that maybe don't know about it just yet? Because it's an
yeah,
absolute gem.
for sure. Yeah. And the humor is definitely the same. And in some cases, my brother's a first responder, and I know a lot of first responders. The first responder humor is even darker, believe it or
Yeah.
not. It's crazy. But yeah, veterans have super dark humor, and Vet TV was started, myself and Gergen, another guy named Donnie O'Malley. And when we started it, we had the idea that, Hollywood, when you watch a military movie or a military show, what's the first thing that you think of? It's not made for the military. It's made for civilians who want to watch stuff about the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right then and there, we knew we wanted to be like the first network that was made by veterans, for veterans in active duty. And Vet TV ends up catering mostly to active duty anyway. Yeah, and it was very successful almost overnight, that's very rare in film. And
Yeah.
so, the struggle with Vet TV was maintaining it, because, it was like, that's the struggle with everything, right? But yeah, it was successful, and we learned a lot of valuable lessons that we're going to be able to take with us into film 3. And I think that the biggest lesson is that, and this kind of ties in with what I was saying about how we're going to make the show, but we found that, Vet TV was at its most successful when we were hyper targeting combat veterans. And so what I mean by that is that we were unapologetically always within our shows and our content targeting a very small niche, a niche within a niche, right? And so, you have veterans, and I think at the time it was 1.8 million post 9/11 veterans in America. And so we're looking at the numbers, and we're like, okay, so that's the big number that we can target. That's the niche. But then we really drilled down, and we're like, okay, well, how many are combat veterans? How many are grunts? And it really becomes like 10% of that, right? But what we found is that when we were true to them, the grunts, we other people, including military, but other people that weren't even in the military, wanted to look into that world and see what was going on. And so we ended up going beyond the niche and gaining a bunch of subscribers that way. And so I think that's the biggest lesson that we're going to take into this, is that when we make the Degens show and then content after that, we're going to be true to Web3 and Degens. And, and we're the perfect guys to do it, because like, I'm super invested in Web3, like it's my life. Right. And same thing with Gerd. So, I think I got a little bit off track there, but, yeah,
keep going.
Yeah. Vet TV is, it's still going, and it's definitely helped out a lot of veterans, in dark places and stuff like that. And the whole premise of it was to heal the mental wounds of war through camaraderie and laughing, sort of thing. And we did that. And, our aspirations for film 3 are a little different. It's not to, really help people mentally, although that would be a good bonus. It's more of a, we want to be pioneers of film 3. And with that comes the idea of decentralized, whether it's movie making, TV making, it doesn't even have to be film. It can be comic books. The whole Web3 decentralization idea like ties in with our goals as filmmakers really, really well. For example, if we are successful one day, I'd love to be able to foster other filmmakers and, start a nonprofit, let's say, where it's like, hey, you want to make a film that Hollywood doesn't want you to make because they have their little fucking bots that,
Exactly.
That make the generic Marvel movies, and you don't want to go make $70,000 a year on a writer's team, and like be in poverty, but you're still making TV shows or whatever it is. I mean, there's all kinds of problems with Hollywood. Well, I mean, you can come over here and you can make the content that you want, and we'll try and find an audience for you, sort of thing. So, so the goals are different, but yeah, I mean, the lessons that we learned as filmmakers from Vet TV are definitely going to transfer over, and there's more of those lessons too.
So but I want you to hold that right there, right? Because I definitely want to come back. I wasn't asking about like military and mental health though, but this is something that I do definitely want to talk to you about, because no one really talks about film 3, right? Or what they call like actually like shooting like movies and such on blockchain, right? Studios coming out, right? That's something that's not really, we talk about gaming, we talk about like Gamblify, we talk about RWAs and everything like that. But what people don't know about, what I think is actually slept on, Gala's kind of doing it, right? They're doing their whole movie stuff, right? But
Yep.
people actually like making movies, like, kind of like on blockchain, right? And actually like using that kind of like technology to do so. Like, what do you think the future is in actual, like you said, film 3?
Yeah. I mean, it's something that we think about every day, and I think that the future is, it's going to be a place where you can make the content that you want as a filmmaker, and then you can also do something very, very cool, which is, and I can't get into specifics about this because we've talked to attorneys, but I can be general about it.
Sure,
but
please.
The idea of, so like what's one major problem with movies is that they're owned by studios, right?
Gate kept, big time.
Exactly. So, but imagine that you're a token holder, and like even applies. Let's say that animal JPEGs go away, right? Let's say that that's the future of NFTs aren't, how they are now. This still applies, whether it's like a movie ticket little thing and there's 1,000 of them, but ownership through owning one of the tokens, right? For the TV show or for the movie. And what's very cool about that is that it gives filmmakers and, like somebody who's creating something, the ability to have an entire, community behind you. So, for example, I'm not saying this too smoothly, but for example, like instead of me and Gerg, we make a TV show, right? And instead of us just emailing Netflix or, having to rely on one of our contacts to get to Netflix and then be like, hey, can you check out the show or make a sizzle reel? Let's say we have 4,000 people behind us who own our tokens, making noise on Twitter and doing it that way. So I think that the future is that it gives filmmakers an opportunity to be creative and choose a different path than the Hollywood machine. And the last thing I'll say is that we almost accidentally did that at VetTV. So at VetTV, and Donnie, the guy who we started it with, me and Gerg, was very adamant about this, was that we didn't have help from Hollywood. Sure, we'd hire like a grip, that was a professional grip that worked in Hollywood and stuff like that, but we circumvented Hollywood with VetTV. And so that's, in the spirit of that, is definitely something that we're bringing forward through Film 3 as we try and grow. That
is something that I think is definitely slept on. Film 3, that what you're talking about, like Web3 and actual like film. That's not something that a lot of people are talking about now, because really not really the hot narrative though. But I definitely think that's going to be a big time player, right? Because you don't have to like usually kind of, I mean, I don't know if it's going to get taken off, but usually they have these huge studios, right? They kind of say, no, I want this actor, I want this, I want this, that, and this. And it's pretty much gate kept, you know what I mean? You kind of have to actually kind of play the game, play the politics game. You got to kiss the right ring. You got to do all those things. But here, it's something different. You could actually do and kind of create what you want, and it's an exciting time.
100%, man. And I was down that path even after I left VetTV. I went to Hollywood, and and I was there before and I was there after, and working everything from PA all the way up to trying to be a writer at the Writers Guild. I got into this Writers Guild program and mentors that would write. I got pretty far, and it's just not a place for me. You know what I mean? It's and I don't want to get into super details, but it's like,
you definitely can.
I just didn't fit in. Let's just say that, right? And so it's like, oh well, and so I sort of abandoned that, and then as we get into NFTs, it's like, okay, well, let's think back. What have we done? Oh, we actually didn't need them before. Like, let's do that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'd love to be able to. Me and Gerg would love nothing more than to sort of be leaders in Film 3, whether our shows get picked up or not, whether people even like our shows or content. The idea of Film 3 is something that we're dedicated to.
Yeah, see, man, this gets me so excited. You don't know how how bad I'm excited, talking about this subject because like it just doesn't get talked about a lot. I don't know. I'm pretty much I've said it out throughout this interview, but yeah, this is another slept on sector that I think will arise here, possibly maybe even the next kind of like bull run that we have though. And really excited that you're on, man, talking about this. Like I said,
Thanks,
this
man.
really gets me. But kind of getting back to like the military, right? Your kind of military experience. How has that kind of prepared you to actually kind of be in Web3?
Sure. Well, it's funny. Military experience, besides like the really bad stuff and the really
Yeah.
hard stuff, is very close to filmmaking. And I know that's not what your question is, but I'm kind of taking,
Yeah. No. Yeah. Please.
is that when you're making films and stuff, it's very chain of commandy. Like
Yes.
even in our decentralized vet TV shit, it's very chain of commandy um, and stuff like that. And you work really long hours. It's like 12 hours on set. And I think what it comes down to is the variables. And so when you're in the military, at least in my military experience in the Marine grunts, was very like there's a million variables and you're never going to get it right. Right. And so I think that like dealing with failure and dealing with having to compromise and all that stuff is a lesson that I learned in the Marine Corps that translates to film. And then it's the same thing, man. And so like, for example, me and Gerd, we made War Dogs, and it's like there's a lot of variables with everything, whether it's all the traits that have to match up, like 200 traits or whatever we have, and we have to be very adaptable too. So like I was saying earlier, nothing is as we planned it out to be at the start, right? And so I think that you have to be able to be super adaptable, and that's something that the military teaches you to do, like no question. And it's funny, I personally notice a lot of veterans in Web3,
Yeah.
like an unusual amount, like way more than the population. And this is probably a deeper conversation, but Web3 people definitely have a similar mentality. Have you noticed that? And like, like Degens, we have a similar mentality, and it's some more obvious stuff like decentralization and all that.
Yeah.
But like when you get smaller, I've noticed when I go to in real life events that people are very similar to me, like in personality and stuff like that. Although I get laid. No, I'm just kidding.
except you actually can talk to a woman. No, yeah, the nerds are gonna come for me, but I don't care. I fight them on a daily basis on my X page though. But another thing too as well, when you created Vet TV and you did, it's actually really great. It's been a like really big hit. Was that kind of in mind to kind of like help with maybe the mental health aspect of like some of these kind of like troops and whatnot, and so they can kind of maybe use that through like healing, or what was it? You're kind of like, was that kind of like the motivation behind that?
Yes, and I should 100% say that the brainchild of Vet TV was Donnie O'Malley, and so I was the first guy that he confided in. Let's start this, and I executed with him, but I just had to give him his flowers. Anyways, that was our mission, was the mission of Vet TV is to prevent veteran suicide, straight up. And so whether we were successful or not, people would message us all the time saying that they did not kill themselves because of Vet TV. And so you gotta believe that that's the truth. And I'll be honest. I mean, after a couple of years of Vet TV, it was hard for me to keep doing it. It was a very entrepreneurial thing. It was, I was working some like relationship crushing hours, right?
Yeah.
And it hurt my marriage, and there was some toxic elements to it and all that. And the one reason why I kept going as long as I did with it was because of that factor, right? Was because I always thought that we were truly helping people. And so that was definitely there, and I think to this day, like or hate Vet TV, to this day they still have that mission, and they still do it. They still foster that community. So that's something I'll never forget, man.
I'm gonna kind of go off Web3 and everything like that.
Yeah.
And this is something I want to kind of ask someone that that's out there, that goes to the VA and everything like that, and does those things. Like, are we kind of getting better in that aspect on helping veterans, in kind of like that mental health kind of realm, or we're still kind of like maybe kind of in the same place, or if not even worse?
That's a tough question. So from what I see, I'm a natural optimist, so like I definitely could be wrong on this.
Sure.
I gravitate towards optimism, but I think it's getting better. And I don't think that I think that the suicide thing is still there. Suicide's a very, very tricky thing for me to think about. I think about it a lot, not in the way that I'm going to kill myself, right?
But yeah.
I think about it a lot because the unit that I was in is 2-7, 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines. It has the highest suicide rate in the entire military for whatever reason. And so I stopped counting how many of my buddies have killed themselves. One just a couple months ago from my platoon. It's over 20. And so, when it comes to suicide, I don't think that there's been much progress on that front. I think that that's still something that is horribly, horribly wrong. And granted, a lot of them are older. Like, that stat, the 22 a day, it accounts for like Vietnam vets too and stuff. And, at this point, they're really, really old. So, even that stat is a little skewed. But I think that as far as benefits and America taking care of veterans, I think that's getting better from what I see. I've done some volunteer work down at in San Antonio here with some veterans, and I think that it's one of those things that if you're a veteran, you have to be willing to seek it out, and if you have to take action, they're not coming to you and saying like, "Hey, you can utilize this as a benefit or whatever." So it's a tough question. I know that I'm kind of dancing around it. Again, the optimist in me wants to think that things are getting better, and trending in the right direction.
Well, okay, well, so I'll kind of ask you this though, like if you could offer any kind of maybe like like critiques or anything like that, like what would you do to kind of like make it kind of like better, right? Or what would you, in your mind, like what are some of the things that they could do that could actually that they're not currently doing now that maybe that could actually like help out a little bit more?
Yeah. The only thing that comes to mind is, this was back to the Vet TV thing. First and foremost, like, when we decided, what is this, like the number one symptom, I don't know if this is the right way of saying this, but the number one reason that at the time we thought that people kill themselves is social isolation, right?
Yeah.
And that was what Vet TV, I think, did more than, and does to this day, more than anything, is that it gets you to talk to your buddies, right? So at the end of each episode, we'd have, after the last scene, we'd say, hey, text a buddy that you served with, text a brother you served with. So I think that I would say that if there could be more programs that get vets together, if you're a guy who's just been going through life and, life's been kicking your ass, your wife left you and life's just falling apart. You need to be around other veterans who have shared the same experiences with you. And so, if I were in charge and I were at the VA and stuff, I would probably try and come up with programs that do that more than anything.
Amazing answer, and I really love that too as well. And I kind of like we'll get off kind of like that subject, kind of circle back.
No worries, I'm having fun.
Yeah, we'll circle back to Vechain here, right? And if I'm somebody that's like brand new to Vechain, right? One, where would I even start, right? And two, like where, like what are some of the either marketplaces, wallets, and then two, also three, some of the projects too as well as some of the cool projects and some of the people that are doing some great things in Vechain.
You got it, man. So the first step, if you're into Vechain, Coinbase actually just listed Vechain, which is a huge deal. And so if you have a Coinbase account, the ticker is VET. So you can do, what do they call it? Help me out here. It's the learn to play. Is that, or learn?
Yeah. So you can earn yourself some free Vechain.
Yeah. I mean, it's like $10 worth of Vechain. So I'd say that's the first step because that'll get you a free NFT. It's like half a War Dog right there. So the main marketplace is called World of V. And I'll give you the link for it. Maybe there's a way to put that in.
Sure.
And one cool thing about Vechain is it's super duper fast. It's a clone of Ethereum, but it's done. I think it's like I can't remember the finality, but it's like 8 seconds or something silly like that, right?
And you can actually afford it.
You can actually afford it. There's it's got fee delegation. Vechain has fee delegation, which means there is a 2 token system. There's VETHO, which is the gas, and then there's VET. But when you're on the marketplaces, the fee delegation, you don't have to even use it half the time. I think the only time where you use gas is transferring NFTs to people. And even that's like fractions of pennies, right? So when you generate VETO by just holding VET, you have enough VETO to do anything that you ever want on with, with NFTs and stuff like that. So you don't really need to worry about it. But if you go to World of E, creating a wallet is super duper easy. It'll be like an icon at the top and it'll say connect wallet. You click on that and it says, if you don't have a wallet, you set it up. For those of you familiar with ETH and other blockchains, it's really easy. You do the seed phrase. I think it's like 12 or 16 or something like that. Write it down, create the wallet. You'll be in and out in 2 minutes. And then right there on World of E, that you can make the wallet there, and then you can also start shopping for NFTs there. We're the War Dogs. It's a VV, so you got to search with a VV. We have our 3 collections, and some of the other projects. The number one project on VeChain is Mad V Apes by far. They have so much going on, man. I can't talk them up enough.
I've been trying to get them on the show, actually.
Oh, dude, I'll hook you up. My boy Satoshi. I mean, he's one of my good friends.
I sent him a DM, and I'm on it was just crickets. So
he is so.
I
busy.
bet. I'm just kidding. I'm messing with him.
No, I'll hit him up. I'll tell him it's a really good time because he's the man. And so Mad V Apes, they're a powerhouse. I think they have 5 collections. And there's no slowing down with those guys. Like they will, like I said, they will eat the world, in my opinion. But other projects, there's VFox Alliance, which is a really good project. There's Yukio Warriors, that's one of my favorites, and they have 2 collections, and then they're about to come out with their 3rd. I'm sure he talked all about that.
Oh yeah, you're coming to Polygon.
Yeah, I'm excited. Actually, really excited about that. And just bear with me 1 second. We've got one of my favorite projects is you got to check them out. And if you're interested in this idea,
I'll write them down right now. What is it?
If you're a Non-Fungible Book Club. So Non-Fungible Book Club is a really, really dope project. And they have a lot of similarities with the way that me and Gerg look at Film 3, but they do it with literature, right? And so their whole thing is book-based, audiobooks, empowering. So the main guy who started it, his name's Critter Club. He's a writer. He's gotten books published and stuff. And his whole thing is the same thing. It's like, the way that I'm not too privy on how it works, but the way that it is to get a book published, even self-published, is just like a pain in the ass, and it gives no power to the authors.
Yep.
Same thing with him. Like, open it up. So I highly recommend getting him on the show if you can. He's a really well-spoken, really smart guy. So that's one of my favorite projects. I said VFox Alliance. What's cool about them is that they had such a diehard community that when the founder, this was well over a year ago, this happened even before War Dogs, the founder completely rugged. It was rescued by the community. It was one of those projects. And VeChain has quite a few of those. And so that's a really good project. Trades Town's a really good project where they actually give you profits of their crypto trades. It's really, really cool. Inca Empire and they're now called the Golden Empire, but they are really, really, really cool. Super heavy duty builders. I mean, those guys know what's going to happen in the future, and that they're not tripping on sentiment right now. I'm trying to give as much props as I can, but yeah, I mean, those are just a few of the projects, and VeChain has some really interesting projects.
Yeah, and also too, like I said, Mad V8, all these projects, I've heard of them. Like you said, you guys have a really good thriving ecosystem that people need to know about. But also, as you said, you're coming to ETH, right? Is there a possibility of going to other chains too as well, or are those kind of just your 2 main focuses right now, VeChain and ETH?
Oh, just right now, we have absolutely no plans to do anything on any other chains and that's just a bandwidth thing. However, success can open up anything, right? And so I think that in the back of our minds, there's always thoughts of expanding and doing, I really love Cardano. We're ADA. In fact, ADA was my first blockchain, like not keys, but it was the first coin that I bought. And I think I got in at 7 cents, which is pretty good. It's one of my actual victories in investing in general. I'm like
one of the very few, right?
horrible investor,
Yeah.
but so right now though we have to maintain like being super hyper focused.
Sure.
We're at risk of failing, sort of thing.
No, I like that. I like that. You're not like trying to say, hey, you're going to come to here, there, everywhere. I like it. Like, hey, projects to say like, we're going to kind of stay, we're going to stay kind of small. We want to kind of build out. We want to deliver some of the things that we're going to deliver. Right. But, you've talked about like kind of course Film 3, right. And you talked about other projects too, using NFT technology. Where do you see NFT technology being used in the future? Do you think it's going to grow, or do you think it's something that will kind of like fall by the wayside eventually? Like, what's your take on NFT technology in the future?
Well, I mean, I certainly hope and think that it's it's going to change the world. It already has changed the world, but it's going to be life changing for everything that happens. And who was I just talking to about this? I did a kind of another interview yesterday, but we were talking about where we think it's going and stuff. You have the example of what's the example of tokenizing, Chipotle and stuff like that. So there's all those examples, right? But I really think that any industry that exists is going to have NFT technology. Let's go to video games. So I'm a huge gamer, right?
Yeah.
And I see my son. My son is 9, right? And he is severely addicted to Roblox. And so I see that. Like he shows me his gameplay, records it, and he wants to buy all these skins and stuff. And it's like I don't know. I don't understand how you can look at that and not see how this is going to be super game changing. You mentioned Gala earlier. I myself am invested in a project called Mirandus. I don't know if you've heard of them, but it's a big gaming project that's coming out. It's going to take years because games take like 5 years to make or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And so whether it's video games or whether it's other examples, I'm forgetting some of the examples that I even talked about yesterday. I definitely think it's game changing, and I think that when it's going to happen is when people don't think that they're using it, right? Because there's definitely this how do you say it? There's definitely this what's the word I'm looking for? Taboo subject.
Yes, it is.
I mean, especially in gaming. So like I mentioned, I'm a huge gamer, and I'll watch YouTube videos all day about games and stuff. And as soon as one of the big companies like Square Enix or Blizzard or any of those guys mention NFTs, 99% of the gamers who follow them, like, it's a fucking scam, fuck this. Yeah. And they're like all over it. And I don't even comment because I just don't want to get like shit on by all these
nerds.
Yeah, right. But I mean, dude, it's like, to me, it's so obvious that I typically, where my mind goes, if 99% of people don't like something, then it's probably good. Like, you're probably a fucking drone. You know what I mean? But anyways, even it's such a taboo subject, even with games, that what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get people to have NFTs and they don't even realize it. And it's already been done. The whole Reddit thing that happened, I think 8 to 12 months ago. Those guys had NFTs and they didn't even know it, and they were pumping it and stuff. So, do I think NFTs are always going to be pictures of dogs and animals? I don't know. Probably not. You know what I mean? Realistically. But I do think that the idea of digital ownership is not going anywhere. And you can digitally own pretty much anything. And as we get deeper into, I think that, whether it's Zuck or it's somebody else, I think that the metaverse, and specifically VR, is where we're heading as a society. I think we're going to spend a long time in VR, like a large portion of our lives. I've thought that for years before even Bitcoin. And I follow a guy named Ray Kurzweil, who's a futurist. He's been saying this for years. I read his book about 20 years ago. It's called The Singularity is Near. He's predicted the VR revolution. And so I think that when you digitally own things, that's what an NFT is. And it's certainly anything. The sky's the limit, right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. Like, that's why I'm here, right? I'm here kind of like, gauging the kind of interest. I do think the technology will be used in specific, other sectors and like RWAs and everything like that. But you said you're a big time gaming nerd, right?
Yeah.
And when do you feel that there will be a Web3 game that can possibly compete with like some of the bigger kind of like game titles, like maybe like a Call of Duty or like a GTA? Like, how far out do you think we're from happening?
So I kind of have two answers. One, I think that is when the Square Enixes and the Blizzards and the big gaming companies do it. I think that's when it's going to happen, because look, I'm not trying to be negative Nancy here or talk smack on anybody, but there's a big difference between a AAA game, and one of these games that you see here, and I think that's the gap that you have to close, right? And so, if these companies, I keep saying Square Enix because I play a bunch of Final Fantasy and I play all their games, basically. And they're one of the big companies that have said that they're going to do it, and they haven't backed off. Like few of the big studios have said that, said it, and then they back off because they get attacked. But Square is going to do it, and so I think that they're going to be the first to do it. However, a smaller, blockchain based game, I mentioned Mirandus. And it's been a few months since I've looked into Web3 gaming, but I used to be into it more of an investor than anything.
Of course,
I think that Mirandus has a real shot at it. They what they were able to do is they have people on their team that actually worked on like Call of Duty and AAA games and stuff, and they're setting up a really interesting world where it's like an MMO. But you own, like, I can go in there and, for instance, I own like a shop, right? Even though the game hasn't come out, I bought a token that's like an item shop. You can buy skins. And so in the game, my item shop is earning the token. And what their token's called Unitarium or something like that, right? And so they're going to set up an MMO, but the entire economy is based around the token. And that token has real world value. So I think if anybody has a shot, it's them. But again, to reiterate, I think that the first one's going to be one of the actual AAA studios.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's going to be a little bit though, man, but we're on the kind of right track, right? Yeah. And as far as like different sectors, right? You have Film 3, right? You have gaming, you have RWA, you have kind of like metaverse, right? All of these kind of different sectors. Like, which one are you most kind of like bullish on? Or it could be another sector that maybe we didn't even talk about.
Yeah. So bullish. I mean, like there's my spiritual, like my spirit, and like what my soul is Film 3, because that's like what I'm going to do. But I mean, immediate monetary stuff. To me, it's gaming. It's the natural. I think it's the natural fit. It's the one that is going to get the most attention. And I mean, like I say, man, to me, it's clear as day. You can talk about digital ownership and NFTs all day, but like I said, my son is 9. And I'll put on, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I'm like, hey, do you like movies? You want to watch this really cool movie? And he's like, no, fuck that. He just wants to be in VR. And it's like, okay, well, it's very, very, like, the world that we're going into, very, very, like, cut and dry to me. So, but, again, one thing that may be a little bit of a tangent is I'm bullish on Film 3 as well. And I think that, what it's going to take is, and here's the thing, it's such a small, we're always saying we're early, right? NFTs, maybe 50,000 people or something, right?
Yeah.
VetTV has more subscribers than there are active like NFT traders. Let's just say it's 50,000 people.
Right.
It's not going to, how do I say this? Whoever is going to go commercially successful with their film is going to kickstart Film 3, I think, really, really well. And if that's not us, which I'm not saying it's going to be, you don't know how successful.
You would love to be. Yeah, of course.
You'd love to be, but you don't know how, the thing about making films is you have no idea how it's going to do. You have no idea if people are going to like it, right? Like anybody who says that they do is full of shit. You just have no idea how it's going to be received and this and that. We're hoping that it's going to be received really well, and we're hoping that it gets picked up by Netflix, and that we're funneling money to the Degens and that whole thing. But whoever is first is going to raise the tides for all of us. And so I think that when we're talking about cross chain, it's the same idea. You shouldn't want anybody to fail, right? You shouldn't want any chain to fail, because in blockchain, and especially in Film 3, because it's even more drilled down, is if another film project's successful, I'm going to ride their coattails as a filmmaker, because there's so few of us, right? And so to me, it comes back to the rising tides raise all boats situation, where I think, and I think that's why we have to be cross-chain friendly, really, man, is that there's not a lot of us, man, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, thankfully you said that, like, you know, rising tides thing, because every time I try to use it, I always fuck it up. And I always say rising boats and tides. And then, like, I totally kill the mood, dude. And everyone's like, get this idiot off the stage. But no, I totally agree with that, and definitely can't wait to see what Film 3 is going to be, because that's, like I said, that's something I'm passionate about. That's something that not really everybody's really talking about as much as, you know, Web3 gaming, RWAs, and metaverse, and all those other things too as well. Also, kind of off topic, I like to ask too. It's kind of a new segment. Conspiracy theorists, right? Military and everything like that. Are birds real?
Absolutely not. We're in a simulation.
No, I'm kidding. Okay, kidding. So you have all these things kind of going, right? You have the Degen project that's going to come out kind of like next year, right? Sometime next year, right? We don't know, right? But a year from now, right? I think this time next year, we're gonna look a lot better, right? The market's gonna think it's gonna be the happening what happened. Market's gonna look a lot great. I think we're gonna be in a better space, right? Where would you like War Dogs to be a year from now?
1 year from now, I would like War Dogs to, be a successful top 10, top 20, top ETH project, and with Degens and retroactively VETPETs and War Dogs. And I would like us to be holding events at NFT New York and other in real life events, and whether that's screening a movie, with some drinks to start, or showing somebody else's movie. I'd like to be there in a year, and if we're talking the 3 to 5 year plan, which we think about a lot.
Oh, hell yeah, go into that too, please.
I'd love to be holding film festivals and having having a nonprofit or two, be funding other people's movies and really circumventing Hollywood properly and basically nurturing this Film 3 culture. But I'd love 3 to 5 years from now there be a Dogs film festival, and people are showing out and partying and doing shrooms and whatever, watching movies.
No, I would love that. I would totally love to be there too. Definitely would love to go to one of those, man. But and also too, so you're talking about like the Film 3 aspect, right? And where you guys are going to be kind of a year from now with the Degens project. Is there any more you can kind of give us on the Degens project, or you got to kind of be tight-lipped with that?
The last thing I'll say is that the Degens project is going to be way super duper meta. Whether it's going to be how do I say this?
I don't want to get you to get shot. So like if you can't say any more, like, you know what I mean? I don't want you to get taken out.
That's all I'll say. It's going to be more meta than people think. Me and Gerg, we like getting meta as shit. Our favorite show that we made, it wasn't the best received for whatever reason, but like our personal favorite show that we made, we wrote and directed it at VetTV. It's called The Letdown. And so if you have any time, Google VetTV The Letdown. Episode 1's on YouTube. I think you'll get a little hint if you could, like, the plot of that, kind of what the plot of Degens is going to be. That's why I tell people is watch The Letdown, and you'll see kind of where the show Degens is a spiritual successor to that show.
I can't freaking wait. And I appreciate you coming on my show, Braden. But before you go, right, is there anything else you want to say? Any community members you want to shout out, or anybody in general you want to shout out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, dogs, love y'all. You guys keep me sane, and stick with it. And long live the dogs. Aloha and Poofy, Upsetter. Thanks guys so much. And then I got to shout out my boy Mikey Leo, Sig Toshi from MVA. Dude, you're my bro. I'm gonna get you on this show, and let's keep let's keep on keeping on, you know.
And I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you so much. And guys, this wraps our show. If you like content like this, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow me on X. Follow War Dogs on X. Follow Vet TV, Braden, all of them on X. And I will see you guys around on the next one. Take care.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you.